guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here, making the home smell like caramel apples. And I have a really interesting story. So this is a true story, and this is something that has happened to them over the course of their lifetime, and their kids have even seen it. So it's a very weird story, but it's very fascinating, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys. So this is from the Reddit author Shouting-Monkey, and this is the story that they posted. Long story short, I woke up in the middle of the night and I noticed something like this thing, bright green with dark patches, walking or waddling from one end of my room to the other. It reached the end of my bed, and it seemed like it noticed that I was looking at it, and it turned, crawled up to the end of my bed near the footboard, grinned at me with a wide mouth full of teeth, and it started bouncing up and down extremely fast. I was terrified, and I pulled the covers over my head, and I didn't move again until morning. It had a profound effect on me as a child, so much that when I woke up from a nightmare, I would completely freeze, hold my eyes shut, and not move. Even if the way I was laying was painful, I would just freeze. I have two brothers who have similar experiences, but they won't talk about it. Even after all of these years, I don't know if what I experienced is the same thing that my boys fought with, but it sure feels similar. My younger brother also saw this thing in our room. I had a few other experiences with this thing, so I'll try to explain as best as I can. First, let me make it clear that this story is completely true. This thing seemed to play games with me when I was young. Many times, I would wake up early in the morning to the sound of my father crumpling up newspaper to start a fire in our wood stove. Sometimes, I would get up and I would walk down a dark hallway to the living room, and I'd watch him before running back to bed. This was almost a routine. One early morning, though, I woke up to the same sound of newspaper being crumpled up, but it wasn't the same. Instead of hearing the usual crumpling sound, sheet by sheet, this time, it sounded like he was crumpling up a paper into a ball and throwing it against the wall, where it would fall to the floor and bounce a few times before coming to a stop, then repeat. I really didn't notice the difference until after hearing it happen 3 or 4 times. It really sounded like he was crumpling up each sheet of paper into a ball, then throwing it against a wall over and over. I guess, out of curiosity, I got up from my bed and I headed down the hall, sort of laughing to myself as I wondered what in the world my dad was doing. Upon reaching the front room, instead of finding my father crouched down in front of the wood stove, I found nothing but darkness. There was nothing, just darkness and silence. I got the chills and a lot of anxiety thinking about this now, so I apologize if I'm not using the right words here. As I explained previously, after seeing this thing pull itself up from the footboard of my bed and grin at me the way that it did, it was always in the forefront of my mind. Anytime I got scared and thought about the event, I would tend to just freeze in place from outright fear and terror. The situation was no different. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, frozen in fear, with a dark living room in front of me and an even darker hallway behind me. I wanted to turn and run, but during those 10 seconds, I couldn't, or maybe didn't want to move. Then suddenly, from somewhere in the darkness of the living room in front of me, I heard the distinct sound of something running towards me. There in front of me, not 3 inches from my face, was this thing. Green, black, and a wide mouth full of teeth, making some sort of clicking, growling noise at me. I think when something so terrifying as this happens to a person, something happens in the brain that forever sears certain details and feelings within the memory. One thing I remember specifically was being terrified. Not only was I frozen in place, I couldn't breathe. This thing wasn't doing anything to me other than standing there staring at me with that terrifying smile and making that clicking and growling sort of noise. I think that's important to clarify. It was fear, outright primal fear, causing me to freeze and stop breathing. Within a few seconds, somehow, I managed to let out a scream. When I did, the thing suddenly pulled back into the dark room and disappeared. I really don't know for sure, but it was suddenly gone. I stood there screaming, waking up my parents who were suddenly there with me, flipping on all of the lights and trying to calm me down. This was the last time I saw that thing, until that night, some 15 years or so later, when I saw it running out of my kids' room, down the hallway, and down the stairs to my basement. For reference, here's the link to that story. This happened about 25 years ago, but I still think about it on a regular basis. At the time, my 2 boys were around 6 and 8 years old, and it happened in a small town about 20 miles from Skinwalker Ranch, Uinta Basin, Utah. Having grown up there, I had more than a few personal experiences that still give me chills. but this event was beyond anything I've ever experienced before or even heard about. My 2 boys slept in bunk beds in a room just across from the hall from my room. I was fast asleep when I was suddenly woke up by the most intense and terrifying screams from my boys, screaming and crying out for me. I jumped out of bed and I grabbed my pistol from the top of my dresser. I threw open the door, and how do I say this? There, in front of me, running out of my son's bedroom, was a 2 to 3 foot bright green creature. I have no idea what it was, but it looked at me as it exited their room and shot down the hallway. It made a quick turn, shot down to the basement stairs. Keep in mind, all of the lights were off, but this thing stood out. It was bright green in color with black patches on its face and body. I only got a quick look at it, but what my kids would tell me terrified me. I ran into their room and I flipped on the light. There they were, both of them standing in the middle of the room holding their pillows. They were crying and screaming so hard I couldn't understand what they were saying. My wife came in and began to calm them down while I went looking for whatever just ran down to my basement. I searched everywhere, every corner, but I didn't find anything. I went back upstairs and I asked my boys what happened. Without going into great detail here, what they told me was absolutely terrifying. My youngest son told me he woke up and noticed something green hunched over standing in the doorway, just looking at him. He wasn't sure what it was, so he sat up in bed, and when he did, the thing started grinning at him with giant teeth, causing him to let out a scream, waking up my older son. While my younger son was telling me what he had seen, my older son spoke up and said, "It looked like Darth Maul, but green." If that sounds familiar, Darth Maul is a Star Wars character. Look him up and you'll get an idea as to what this thing looked like. Imagine a short, hunched over, green Darth Maul. Now, I guess out of fear, my youngest son grabbed his pillow and started hitting this thing, which had now moved into the room, closer to them. He then tells me it grabbed hold of his pillow and started growling at him. This caused my older son to start screaming, and within a second, he joined in with this pillow hitting over and over until it suddenly let go of the pillow, turned, and started to back towards the bedroom door. I think it must have heard me open my door because this is about when I saw it. Like I said, I didn't get the best look at it, but it was bright green with black patches and it moved extremely fast. This event had a profound impact on my youngest son. From this point forward, he would only sleep with his head covered, which always worried me. I had to sleep in their room for the next week or 2 before they would finally sleep without me, and only if there was a lamp on in the room. Sounds hard to believe, I get it. Had I not seen it myself, I would have thought they were imagining things. Seeing is absolutely believing. Was it a demon, a ghost, an alien, or something else entirely? I don't have a clue. But I know it was not human, and we never saw it again. Even today, they still draw very similar pictures of what they saw, and what they don't like to talk about with me. Their descriptions have never changed. I had an experience with something very similar when I was about 8 years old, and sometimes wonder if it's the same thing. What I can tell you is that this is 100% real. It's a true event, and the first time I've shared it with anyone outside of my family. I don't expect anyone to believe me, but I'm telling you, this is true. Update, you asked me for a drawing, and this is the best I could come up with. So that's what it looks like. That's what he saw, his brother saw, and his kids saw. So it didn't say in the message if his wife actually saw it, but the fact that they're drawing photos of it and they're so detailed of what they fought, and it's the same exact thing as to what he remembers seeing as a kid, is just absolutely fucking terrifying. Absolutely not okay to wake up in the middle of the night and have something weird standing over your bed and smiling at you and then clicking at you. That is fucking terrifying. So I'm gonna add in a couple more stories just to make this video a little bit longer. So this is from the ghost story section. It is from the Reddit author longjumping_rich_830, and it's titled Something Wanted Me to Go Downstairs. So I used to live in this house from when I was in pre-K up until 3rd grade. I used to have a weird, scary dreams, and I would see dark figures in the night as I lay awake trying to sleep. I chalked it up to just reading Goosebumps and my imagination running wild from all of these stories. But one night though, it kind of took a turn that still gives me chills to this day. I've never told anyone besides my mom. I was lying down, and I remember it was a weekend because my sister stayed over at my cousin's house for a sleepover. No one else was in the house besides me and my mom. I was upstairs watching TV because I couldn't sleep, and my mom was passed out in her room because she was tired from working. It got a little late and I was getting tired. I went to go lay down and I was just laying there. The one bedroom we have is connected between my room, my sister's room, and my mom's room. As I lay there, not being able to sleep, the door of the bathroom slowly started to open, and a voice spoke out to me and said my name and asked me if I could go downstairs to the basement and get it some toilet paper. I was scared of the basement because it was old, dark, cold, and there really was nothing down there. Thinking it might have been my mom, I told her, well, there's toilet paper in there. I remember this because my mom, before she went to sleep, had made me put another roll before she went to lie down. I got up. As the light is off in my room and the bathroom, I see a dark figure on the toilet. I quickly turned on the light, wondering what my mom was doing just sitting in the dark. Wouldn't you know? Nothing was there. I'm like, what the fuck? Maybe I'm just tired and seeing things? And then I hear something coming from the basement. I go to the door, and I'm standing at the top of the stairs, and I see what looks like little children playing in the dark. The light to the downstairs is at the end of the stairs, and I don't think to even try to turn the light on. Thinking my sister might have come back and me not realize it, I yell out, "What are you guys doing down there?" A voice that sounded like my sister responded, saying, "We're playing hide and seek. Come down if you want to play with us." I reply and say, "Turn on the light, I can barely see the stairs." And no reply came back. I stood there and I saw this black shadow just standing at the bottom of the steps. I stayed there for a couple seconds and then quickly realized this was terrifying, and I closed the door, and I didn't move or say anything back after that. I ran to my mom's room and I explained what happened. She believed me, and she never made it seem like I was making any of it up. I also told her I used to have really bad dreams and see shadows flying and running around the room. My mom had me sit in the dark and pray over me and my family as they sat next to me. I rebunked everything I could think of that night. Since that day, I have never seen or heard anything quite like it in my life, and I'm close to 30 now. So that is really terrifying. The fact that it was like, come play with us is just like straight out of The Shining. I fucking hate that. That is so fucking creepy. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that, but that is not okay. I hate that so much. So this is where I'm gonna end the video because we are at the 16-minute mark and I wanna get this edited and uploaded for you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave me a comment down below with your favorite, let's do alien emoji or extraterrestrial, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, extraterrestrial emoji in the comments down below, because that is basically the main theme of this video, is the alien that was in the first story, because that is fucking terrifying, and just like things happening in the middle of the night that are not okay. So if you guys made it to the end of the video, please leave me your favorite alien emoji in my comment section down below. Leaving me any comment helps me boost my video in the algorithm, and it gets YouTube knowing that people are actually interested in my content and they promote my video a little bit more. So if you guys can leave me a comment, if you guys can like this video, if you guys can share this video around, that would help me so much. If you guys have any creepy stories that you want to share with the channel and you want me to read, please feel free to reach out to me either over Instagram or send me an email, and I will read them as soon as you guys send them. I really don't have much from you guys at the moment of readable stories, so if you guys have sent me stories in the past and I have not read them or I have not responded to you, please send me another message so it can boost up in my inbox so I can find it again. It's possible I have misplaced some of your guys' messages or they just haven't come through properly, so send me another message and we can try to work together to see if there's maybe something wrong with the message as to why I couldn't read it. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys at the next one. Bye.